broadcast at 1091 for their support.
That's great. Thank you very much. Tony Goff?
Goff.
From Special Olympics, Delaware. I'll never get that name wrong again. And like I said, I apologize. I've known you for 7-8 years, but I know you as Tony.
Thanks, Don.
All right. Thanks, Tony, for being here. Enjoy the rest of the day. Tony Goff, a member, a coach of the Sussex Riptide. And coming up next is Matt Marsh and Leo Sticinski. And so they will be getting ready to head over. We're waiting for a clarification of who is on what rope. Many of the faces we recognize, not only from years past, but from their involvement in Special Olympics. But occasionally we do get folks up there who we do not know, and we have spotters out there who are communicating with us to give us that information. If you're tuned in to watch particular people, you probably certainly know who they are, and one of the reasons we give you this camera angle so you can see them and see who and what are getting ready to go down the ropes here. And Matt Marsh and Leo Sticinski, Vimbai Jhamba, Tony Nash, Ronald Marble, and Tara Schleif are on deck, probably going through the training process right now. And so Matt Marsh and Leo Sticinski are getting ready to head down 300 Delaware Avenue building here in Wilmington, 17 stories, 222 feet on the way down. You can see the what I call the spread out like an eagle shot there on the left as they get that shot, and that's a great shot. You'll see those on photo galleries. That's Special Olympics website. Coming up later next week, they'll be posted, and it's that angle there where you have the photographer leaning over, looking down, getting that shot where you really get that feel for what this is like for those folks. Kim Miller congratulates Toni and Marie. Got to see everything from the camera. Great job. And so thank you to Kim for sending us that message. Again, if you want to send a shout out to somebody who is going over the edge, please use hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE, and we will try to see it and say it either during or right after they head down. As we know, all of the edgers will be going back to watch their segments here. Jimmy Smith and his production crew not only do a great job during the broadcast, but they split this up into very user-friendly segments so that you don't have to surf through 8 hours of broadcasting to find yourself. It's a much more narrow window than that. So coming down right now is Matt Marsh and Leo Sticinski. Let's tell you a little bit about them. Leo works for Your Eyes Inspections, and he has a son, Matt Sticinski, in Special Olympics, and this is his first time going. And when we asked him why he was doing it, he said part guilt and part inspiration. His wife went over the edge last year. He has 2 boys that are on the autism spectrum, and besides his wife prodding him to do this, his 16-year-old son, Matthew, one of the Special Olympics athletes, asked him as well. So they are here watching him come down, and he is coming down also with Matt Marsh. Matt Marsh and Leo Sticinski heading down the building here for Special Olympics Delaware. Music outside, you can see, once again, TD Bank hosts the event outside today, so be sure to stop in and see the events, grab something to eat while you are out there. All of the money raised today, and we expect to raise more than $100,000 when it's all said and done, benefits the 4,200 Special Olympics athletes here in Delaware who are part of competing in 19 sports throughout the year in Special Olympics Delaware. And Leo Sticinski is on the right, Matt Marsh is on the left coming down. So Leo Sticinski getting down a little bit quicker. It's not a race. You did hear Marie said she wanted to beat Toni down, which she did, but we always emphasize to people it is not a race coming down. And so it is something that if you go too fast, you do lock up. We've talked about that, but if you're just tuning in, that is one of the safety features here for the broadcast, is if you do get moving too fast, your rope locks up, or the lever locks up, I should say. And it's a safety feature. We obviously do have a lot of people who are talented rappellers, or they've done this several times before, and so they get up there and they want to come down quickly. And because it is a safe event, 100% safety rating, we do have those features in place to prevent you from literally racing down the building. But there you can see the landing there, and the techs will get him all the gear taken off him, and coming down right beside there, you have Matt Marsh and Leo Sticinski. So that represents I believe our 9th, maybe 10th. I lost count here, but we're about an 1/8 of the way through. It's going to be about a 7-hour broadcast here. I'm John Busby along with Jimmy Smith, and we have been part of the live stream broadcast now all 4 years that they have, Special Olympics has provided this. We believe we are the only state in the country that provides this extensive of a live stream. Doing some Google research, I have seen other states where they might have a still camera in one place, or they might do interviews at the bottom. But this live stream is the only one that we've seen where you see a lot of different camera angles and also have an opportunity for other interviews, different camera angles, and things like that. One of the things Jimmy Smith's crew is also putting together today are a couple of 30-second videos that people will be able to share on social media as we continue to try to build the base for this. Ron Marvel is up next. He is going to be on the blue rope. So Ron Marvel will be on blue coming down. And he is going to make the 17-story, 222 feet descent. Vimbai Jhamba is on the yellow. So we have Vimbai Jhamba on the yellow and Ron Marvel on the blue coming down next. And that is Ronald Marvel, you see right there. Vimbai Jhamba is coming down with him. She is an employee at TD Bank, actually in Bowie, Maryland. So Vimbai made the trip here. A volunteer and advocate for Special Olympics with TD Bank for the past 8 years. This is her 3rd year going over, and she says that first step is always the worst. Completed team building expedition similar to Survivor in Zimbabwe. That's something new. Zimbabwe. Jimmy, Survivor is one of those things. Not sure I am sure you'll never see me on TV doing Survivor.
No, it's they've kind of made that more extreme. There's like the show Naked and
yes.
Afraid. Like they've taken that and done a lot of interesting stuff with that premise. But yeah, the original idea of that is that's one of those not dangerous, but like one of those things on your bucket list,
right.
Doing those kind of things, and this is an extension of that, going down the side of a building. So that's cool, but that's a pretty remote and interesting place to have done it too.
It sure is, yeah. I'd want to do it in the Hilton or maybe something like that, poolside. That's my idea of Survivor. But so if we get Vimbai in here, we will ask some more questions about that, certainly. And Ron Marvel is retired. This is his first time going down. He actually has no affiliation with Special Olympics. And by that, I mean he doesn't have an athlete involved as a son or daughter or knows somebody. He's not a coach. But he is part of the Newcastle Firemen's Association. In fact, he wanted to thank them for the support that they gave him, and the Newcastle Firemen's Association, again, is one of the 3 supporters, Brandywine Realty Trust and TD Bank being the other 2 in this. So he does have a connection, not what he considers a direct connection, but he is heading down for the first time, and Vimbai Jhamba, again, heading down for the 3rd time. If you're just tuning in, on deck should be Toni Nash, Tara Schleif, Kelly Burns, and Carol Percy as we get into the double digits of the number of people who are going over the edge to benefit Special Olympics Delaware today. When it's all said and done, 79 people will have gone today. 8 people went yesterday for a total of 87. Again, we want to thank the media members who went over yesterday. Brittany Horn from the News Journal, Ben Heck from the Sussex County Post, Jazz from Eagle 97.7, Matt Monk and Rob Petrie from 105.9 FM, Shelby Vaccaro from WDEL and Spider-Man, Brian Socha from the Socha Network of WSTW. WSTW actually set up a remote out front yesterday, which was a lot of fun, heading into the cocktail reception, and Brian Socha went down as Spider-Man and then popped into the reception to talk about his experience, a first-time experience, and he told me he'd love to do it again if he has that opportunity. So coming down here, you see Ron Marvel not having any trouble here. He is a state fire commissioner and a member of the Seaford Volunteer Fire Department. So he's been on a few roofs before, Jimmy, in his time, doing stuff that are a lot more important than coming down the side of a building, piece of cake.
Can't you tell? Yeah, absolutely. Can't you tell?
And just as we expressed our sympathy for Corporal Stephen Ballard, we'd also 3 firefighters here in the state of Delaware were lost in the line of duty this year at in an earlier fire. And we, of course, want to recognize that and recognize all that the firefighters, the state police, the EMTs, all safety personnel do for not necessarily for Special Olympics, but for the state of Delaware and the residents of Delaware. But they are all extensively involved in our Special Olympics program as well. So Ronald Marvel has landed. Vimbai Jhamba is on the yellow rope right behind her, or right behind him. And so she will be landing shortly as well. Maybe they'll stop in and we'll get a chance to talk to them. Coming up next should be Toni Nash, Tara Schleif, Kelly Burns, and Carol Percy. Don't forget, if you are tweeting or want to give a shout out to somebody during the broadcast, use hashtag OverTheEdgeDE. We're following it on our Twitter decks, and we'll certainly give a shout out to those folks as we can. Vimbai is about halfway down. She's going right there about the 10th floor where she checked in. So she had the view from the inside out, and now she's having the view from the outside. We're not outside, but it looks like perfect weather, although one of the camera people just came in rubbing her hands together. I'll assume that's a signal that it's a little chilly outside. We're here in the air temperature controlled comforts of the boardroom down here. We are actually, when you see the landing area angle, we are actually right inside the landing area. The only thing separating us from that are the windows that you see. And so we are hearing the excitement out there, not only in our headsets, but also live here in the boardroom, as you can see. Vimbai getting ready to finish up her third Over the Edge rappel for Special Olympics Delaware. Got to be part of this event when TD Bank. We talked about how this event started, and it all starts when you put together an Over the Edge event. It all starts with finding the right building. And Brandywine Realty Trust, when we approached them, they were very eager to make this work. They basically turned the building over to us for 2 days. They've had structures put in to support the rope systems up on the top where they've literally screwed anchors into cement. Yesterday, Special Olympics staff hauling things up and down the service elevator all day, as they will be when this is all over tonight. Very gracious folks here. Never any complaints from the people working of the amount of traffic that you can imagine is increased from the minute you arrive to work out front and you hear the DJ, you see the tents, the bleachers, you know something is different about the work day today. That is either Tara Schleif or Kelly Burns. That is up there getting ready to go next. We'll get confirmation on that as soon as we can. Carol Percy is on deck at some point. Stacey Cohee, Wendy Hudson, Louise Doe, if you're tuning in to see any of those folks, as is Toni Nash as well. Vimbai is finishing up here. So back to my point about the building. The second step when you do an event like this, and in this building, TD Bank is located right at the entrance. That's the structure you see when we give you that shot of the landing area, and it's an opportunity for TD Bank to be part of this event. When we approached them, they were on board to not only accept the fact that their bank was going to be surrounded with people all day today, and most of the day yesterday. You can see the crowd there in the shot you're looking at right now. That is TD Bank in the background. But they went a step further, and they said, what can we do? And we asked them to host a cocktail reception, and they eagerly stepped forward to do that. And so each night, the edgers and the guests are invited the night before to come to a cocktail reception in the TD Bank office there. and it gives them an opportunity to, A, see the building that they're going to be rappelling down, but we also make sure that some of the media members are still rappelling when they arrive so they can actually see the process in action as they get there. And we've been told that that gives a lot of them comfort to actually see people do it before the actual day of the event. So we had a nice crowd here last night. David Hill, Special Olympics powerlifter, told his story, which of course inspired the people that were in attendance. Brian Sosha from WSDW, dressed as Spider-Man, talked about his first time doing the event. And then one of the key things was when the site safety supervisor, Jeff Martin, who is one of the best in the country, if not the best safety supervisors for Over the Edge USA, is here with us, and he addressed the crowd and talked about all of the different things that the folks could expect. And again, we've said it before, but for those of you just tuning in, we hear time and time again from these people who are the techs who are part of this, that what a great job they do comforting the people who are getting ready to go down over the ropes. And we got Vimbai coming in here. Have a seat there, Vimbai. And we've got two people on the ropes here. Kelly Burns is on the blue, and Tara Schleif is on the yellow. Kelly is from the Capitol Police Department, and Tara is from TD Bank. They are both first-time edgers. So Kelly is up there, and so is Tara. That means Toni, Nash, Carol, Percy, Stacey, Cohee, and Wendy Hudson are on deck. Vimbai, welcome. Your third rappel. Does it get any easier?
It does. This year was much easier, so it was enjoyable.
And so, what did you do anything different than you've done in the past?
I mean, I just relaxed.
Yeah.
I just relaxed, enjoyed the ride, enjoyed the view. My family was here to support me, so hey.
That's wonderful. And you work in Bowie, Maryland.
I do.
Do you live in Maryland, or live in Delaware, Maryland, or?
No. I don't live in Delaware. I live in Maryland.
Okay, so you've come up here and done it, and you've done it for 3 times.
Yes.
And is it, why do you come back? I mean, obviously TD Bank's a major sponsor of the event, but I'm sure this isn't one of your requirements for your job.
No,
so
it's
you
not
do
a
it by
requirement.
yourself.
It's for the cause. You know, I'm very involved in Special Olympics, and I have been for the past 8 years, like I said.
Right.
And I actually recruited my cousin, so it's going to be a Jhamba duo next year.
Oh, good. That's
doing
great.
It together.
Is your cousin here today to watch?
He's here today, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Both my cousins are here.
And even after watching you go, he's still going to do it?
He's still going to do it.
All right,
yeah.
good. Now, listen, one of the daring things you said you've done is you've completed a team-building expedition similar to Survivor in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Now, we've heard a lot of crazy stories of crazy things people have done, including somebody bungee jumping in underwater cannons or something like that. Tell us about this experience in Zimbabwe.
Okay, I mean, it was amazing. So it was a group of us. It was me out of high school, and we had to, maneuver through Mutare, which is very mountainous. There's many mountains and rivers and stuff like that. So we had to survive on each other.
Wow.
We had to, depend on each other. Meals, everything. So it was.
So were you killing animals and fishing?
No. We weren't killing animals at
Oh,
all.
okay.
We had food that we were going with. It was kind of backpacking.
So you weren't hunting?
Not hunting at all. We had food in our backpacks and stuff like that. But we had to, get along in order to complete the expedition. It was a couple of days, and when we got back on camp, it was rewarding.
And you slept in tents, obviously?
We did.
We
slept in tents, or we slept outside, depending on what the weather was.
Did you have airbag or air mattresses, I hope?
Oh, no. I wish.
The joke in my family is that I've never been camping and never will go camping. And so that's why I say that. But so a tremendous experience for that.
Yes.
Have you ever done anything, besides doing this now 3 times, have you done anything else that's close to this? Skydiving, anything like that? Or have any interest in skydiving?
I have an interest in skydiving.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm very adventurous, as you can see.
Obviously, coming back 3 times. Well, listen, we appreciate your support of Special Olympics Delaware. We appreciate TD Bank's support of this event. We were just talking about it literally about the cocktail reception they hosted last night, what they're doing outside right now, and how if you don't have the support of not only the building you're coming down, but the buildings and the businesses around it, it makes it very difficult. And TD Bank has gone over and above accepting this event and being part of it.
Absolutely, and a majority of my customers, as well as my friends and family members, are the ones who sponsored me, so great call.
That's great. Vimbai Jhamba, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you did.
And we appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for your support of
No
Special
problem.
Olympics Delaware. We'll see you next year for your 4th rappel down the side of the building. Vimbai Jhamba from TD Bank, now a 3-time rappeller down the side of the 300 Delaware Avenue building for Special Olympics Delaware. you see Kelly Burns there. And you also see coming down with Kelly is Tara Schleif. Kelly is on the blue rope, which is on the right, and Tara is on the left. So the blue rope is on the right, and the yellow rope is on the left. If you have a high-def computer or TV you're watching this on, you can probably see that. But if not, just to clarify that Kelly is on the blue, Tara is on the yellow. So we are in the double digits. We are an hour and 15 minutes, almost an hour and 20 minutes into the broadcast of the 2017 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. When it's all said and done, 87 people will have landed, just as you're getting ready to see Tara Schleif land in what they call the landing zone there, right in front of the 300 Delaware Avenue building. So she has landed, and coming up right behind her is Kelly Burns, a member of the Capitol Police Department. Tara Schleif, also an employee at TD Bank, one of the three sponsors of this event, along with Brandywine Realty Trust and Newcastle Firefighters Association. Some of the supporters of this event, actually I should say Newcastle County Fire Service. The supporters include Delaware Law Enforcement for Special Olympics. They've been raising awareness and funds for Special Olympics Delaware for more than 31 years. They've raised more than $6.5 million. The Sheraton Suites in Wilmington, downtown, right next door, provide our edgers, our technicians, I should say, with the rooms next door at an extremely reduced rate. Delmarva Broadcasting Company supports us year-round in promoting our events, as well as having people go over the edge on Media Day. And the Delaware Rock Gym, we mentioned them earlier. Matt McCorquodale, the owner, and Ray Sheldon, they are part of what they do is they allow the edgers the opportunity to come to the Delaware Rock Gym in Bear and try rappelling. Obviously not 17 stories, but also the opportunity to come down. And speaking of coming down, Toni Nash is on the yellow rope, and Carol Percy is going to be on the blue rope. So Toni Nash, you see there on the right, she is on the yellow, and Carol Percy is on the blue. Carol Percy is a paraprofessional in the Meadowood program, which is one of the largest school programs we have involved in Special Olympics. They do all the sports we offer in the schools, which is bowling, soccer, and basketball, and several of their athletes extend their experience into the area program. So Carol Percy there on the blue rope, which will be, right now, it is the rope on your left that you're seeing on the roof, but it will be the rope on the right when she starts to head down. She's a physical, she got involved because of Mary Moore, who is a member of the Special Olympics Delaware Hall of Fame, a longtime coach and program director with the Meadowood program, and she obviously does this because students inspire her. She wanted to thank all her supporters that helped her raise the $1,100, especially her family and the wonderful people at McCain High School, where many of the Meadowood athletes attend school. Toni Nash, we'll hear a lot of great stories today. We're not going to hear many better than Toni Nash's story. She is a cancer survivor. Her husband, Mike, is the president of the Special Olympics Board of Directors. She is going over the edge for the first time. And I'm going to read you her what she told us, quote, literally word for word. A year ago this month, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. It took a lot of strength, courage, faith, and the love of family and friends to get me through. I look at my life a lot differently now. I want to take chances, to do things I would not normally do, and to continue to help others. I'm inspired more now than ever to help other people. By going over the edge, it will help all the people that benefit from Special Olympics, which is a cause near and dear to my heart. And again, that is Toni Nash, who's going over the edge for the first time. I had an opportunity to talk to her at the cocktail reception last night, and at the time I didn't know she was a cancer survivor, and I didn't know how impactful her story was, and so I'm glad I found that out. We give the rappellers an opportunity to give us a bio that gives us a little bit of background, some things we can mention and talk about during their rappel, and that's when I first found out about that she is a breast cancer survivor. And she's done some other daring things, although she calls them not too much, CrossFit competitions, zip lining, and rock climbing. So she has rappelled before, going down there on your right, but she's never done something 17 stories down the side of a building. And so you can see her heading out there. Carol Percy also just took off from the left there. And so Toni Nash and Carol Percy heading down the ropes here. 17 stories, 222 feet. You can see the crowd there at the bottom. I actually recognize a couple people from the Smyrna School District. They've got a couple teachers who are going to be going over the edge coming up. And so you can see the action down there is picking up a little bit as it does as we go throughout the day. The event actually starts at 9 o'clock or 8:50 to be exact today. And so most of the people coming into the building to work are already in, but then the traffic picks up. It certainly will pick up at lunchtime. You can see a good crowd outside as we look up on the roof, the tech's waiting for the next folks to get up, and Toni Nash and coming down along with Carol Percy coming down the side of the building. Once again, if you're just tuning in, I'm John Busby along with Jimmy Smith. Jimmy heads up the production crew. I'm actually a member of the Special Olympics Delaware staff. We've been part of the live stream broadcast all 4 years we've been doing it. It's a long day, 8 hours of talking, but it does seem to go fast. It's amazing. We're already an hour and a half into the broadcast, and we've had several people go over, a couple stop in, and we look forward to talking to more people as they come in. As you can see, Toni there is on your left. That's Toni Nash, and Carol Percy on your right as they come down the side of the building there. 17 stories, 222 feet. And you really can't appreciate, as wonderful as that view is, until you're at the bottom of the building looking up, is when you really get an opportunity to see how high up it is. And both Toni and Carol, their experience started at the bottom when they checked in. They were escorted up to the 10th floor by some of the Special Olympics Delaware athletes who are on hand, so people can an opportunity to meet and greet them. And then when you get up to the 10th floor, you sign in, and there are refreshments up there. And it's funny, a lot of people say they're too nervous to eat or drink. They'll wait until they're finished. They get harnessed up and the equipment put on. They get the chance to meet with the supervisors that are up there and the technicians from over the edge who put them through a quick safety training, some things they'll expect, some things that that could happen, like locking up on the way down, which is just part of the experience if you go too fast, and then how to handle that adjustment and other things. And then they get escorted up to the roof. Once they are up on the roof, they actually go through a training process where they step up onto a ladder, and they get that feeling of just sitting there, and it's almost like it's not a free fall, but it's just that freedom of hanging there, and then the same feeling they get when they first step over the ledge and lean back before they head down. And so they get the opportunity to not only experience and trust the equipment, but then they also get the experience of pulling on the lever. On the left hand of all of the edgers, as you see there, Toni Nash coming down on the left rope, and on the right rope is Carol Percy. And what they're doing, you can see, Carol has done it before. She's on the right. Toni is on the left, rappelling for her first time. I can tell you from experience, not only doing this myself, but broadcasting this the last 4 years, both are moving at a pretty good speed. As have all of the edgers today. People always ask, well, how long does it take to come down? And we always answer, we've seen people get down in 5 minutes, which is what it's going to be about for these two. And we've seen people take longer. And sometimes people take longer because they're enjoying it so much they don't want to rush. And other times they take longer because they're a little bit nervous and it takes a little bit longer to get down. But there is no time limit. It's not like a marathon where we, lower them down automatically if they're going too slow. We allow them to enjoy the experience from start to finish, as Carol obviously has, because she is coming back, and Toni doing it for the first time, once again, a cancer survivor, and what an inspiration. She talks about how the athletes inspire her, but what an inspiration she must be to folks. And again, if you're tweeting out and you want to send a shout-out to somebody, use hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE. You can comment on the Ustream, the live stream that you're watching. If you want to send a comment to somebody, we'll read that as well. There's an opportunity to do that. Carol Percy on the right, finishing up her third year going over the edge. So Carol Percy has landed. Toni Nash is getting ready to land right next to her on the left. If you're just tuning in, you're waiting for Stacey Cohee, Wendy Hudson, Louise Doe, Bruce Showalter, Annemarie Harrison, and Gale Ziegler. All will be up on the ropes next as we get ready. We've had today, do the math real quick, now we have had 17 people go over the edge as Toni Nash lands for the first time ever going over the edge. And when I talked to her last night at the cocktail reception, I asked her if she would come in and talk about her experience, and she agreed to do so. So hopefully we will have the opportunity to speak with her when she comes in. So Toni Nash has landed. 17 people have now gone over the edge to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. Each one of the folks have raised $1,100 to be part of this event. Some of them just write a check for Special Olympics Delaware. Others hold their own sort of fundraising events where they might get a restaurant to give discounts or to provide money to, 10% of a check to their cause, that type of thing. And others create their own fundraising page. And what the majority of them tell us is that once people realize what they're doing and the organization that they're doing it for, it makes it a little bit easier to raise money as people are more excited to give money knowing it's going to a good cause. And so you can see the next two people up there. We're waiting for notification of exactly who that is. Some of these people we recognize from years past. It's Stacey Cohee on the yellow rope and Wendy Hudson on the blue rope. So Stacey Cohee is on the yellow and Wendy Hudson is on the blue rope. We'll tell you a little bit about them as they begin their descent. That is Stacey that you are looking at close up there. You can see a little grimace of her. We do not have a bio on Stacey, so not sure if this is her first time or second time. And you can see there the technicians are going over things. You can see the radio up close we talked about earlier that every edger has right there. And you might wonder, well, how does she, manipulate the radio if she's got her hands on one rope and the other on the lever? And she doesn't, the radio is automatically on. So if she wants to talk to a technician for whatever reason, she just has to talk, and they will be able to hear her up top. You might say, well, what would she want to talk about? We've mentioned the locking up that happens sometimes if you go too fast, and it's a safety feature so that people don't go too fast, whether they try to on purpose or accidentally pull the lever too fast. It will lock up, and basically you stop, and you can't continue to go until you release the lever. That's a great shot of the lever that you're seeing right there, and all Stacey has to do is pull on that lever, and the slightest pull makes it move, which means she then goes down. And there on the left now you can see Wendy Hudson. She is up in that sitting position, and she actually is in that spot there where she right now is relying completely on the equipment and the ropes. And that is the one part, and I can tell you this from my personal experience, where that is the part where once you've done that, and you can see her slowly going back, you start to get the confidence that, okay, this is going to work, and I'm going to be able to do this, and then you keep going. Wendy is also going for the first time. She works for the Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security, and she's been in law enforcement for more than 25 years and a longtime supporter of Special Olympics Delaware. So Wendy Hudson getting ready to go over the edge for the first time. You can see a little bit of nerves there. That's the Rockford Park Tower in the background for those of you familiar with Wilmington. Ed Justiano, one of our volunteer photographers up on the roof, also a former law enforcement officer. He is a volunteer photographer at a lot of our events. All the photographers here today who are taking pictures from every angle, creating photo galleries, that's the picture shot there. That we always say is the shot that people are looking for, where you get them hanging over, hands out in the air, and also the opportunity to see just how high up they are off the ground. 17 stories, 222 feet here for the Over the Edge event for Special Olympics Delaware. And a couple neat facts as they get ready to go over. Stacey Cohee on the yellow, Wendy Hudson on the blue rope. That for Special Olympics Delaware globally, Over the Edge has raised $20 million. The site safety supervisor, Jeff Martin, last night said when Over the Edge was created, I believe it was 8 years ago, their goal was to raise $50 million for nonprofits in 8 years, and they have surpassed that goal. $20 million of that for Special Olympics Delaware. events. They raise an average of $95,000 every time they do that. More than 13,000 people have gone over the edge around North America to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. Some of the places they're going next for Special Olympics chapters, they're going to Boston, Massachusetts, New London, Connecticut, Des Moines, Iowa, Raleigh, North Carolina, Bethesda, St. Louis, Jefferson City, Honolulu, Hawaii, Dallas, Houston, New Orleans, and Phoenix. So great excuse if you want to go over the edge to go to Hawaii. We hope you do it here in Delaware first. We actually have the registration open for next year. Next year's event is May 10th. It is always the second Thursday of May. All you need to do is make a $50 deposit to secure your spot, and then you literally have the rest of the year to raise the additional money up to $1,100. And so if this is something you're watching thinking, I want to do this, we encourage you to sign up now and get started raising that money. If you're watching and saying, geez, I wish I could come down there and do it today, guess what? You can. You just need to come down and let somebody in the Special Olympics tent, which is located right outside the building, know that, hey, I'm willing to write a check for $1,100. If you can find a spot for me to go over the edge today, they'll find a spot for you. So don't think it's too late. It's not too late. You can make it 88 people who will have gone over by the end of the day. Right now, that number stands at 87 as Stacey Cohee and Wendy Hudson are on the side of the building coming down over the edge, heading for that landing zone. There you see them. That is Stacey on the left and Wendy Hudson on the right. Louise Doe and Bruce Showalter should be on deck. Annemarie Harrison, Gale, Ziegler, Lauren, Chris, and Shelley, Tracey all getting ready to go over the edge as well. So once again, if you're just tuning in, I'm John Busby along with Jimmy Smith, who heads up the production crew. This is the 2017 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. It is the 7th year that Special Olympics has offered this opportunity to rappel down the side of the building. More than $760,000 has been raised for Special Olympics Delaware. Special Olympics Delaware provides 4,200 athletes the opportunity to compete in 19 sports year-round as part of Special Olympics. And more importantly, if you didn't hear Marie McIntosh, one of the members of our Hall of Fame who rappelled for the second time just about half an hour ago, she talked about a story about one of her athletes who had never ridden a bike before, one of their adult athletes, and now got up the courage to try it at a practice. They got her an adult tricycle, and she not only is comfortable and enjoys riding the bike during practices, but more importantly, she rides that bike when she is not at practice. And so she continues that healthy lifestyle outside of Special Olympics Delaware. And so it's an opportunity for our athletes to not only compete in sports, but to also then take what they learn into the community. So, for instance, our bowlers, they learn how to bowl in Special Olympics and they compete in Special Olympics. But just as importantly, when their church group or another group goes bowling for fun, the Special Olympics athletes know how to bowl, and quite a few times are the better bowlers because they bowl more during the year than somebody who's not in Special Olympics. And so the reach of Special Olympics goes far beyond the competitions that they participate in year-round. And so they're coming down. You can see Stacey Cohee on the left, a member of the Delaware Division of Gaming Enforcement, and Wendy Hudson with the Delaware Department of Safety and Homeland Security. Delaware law enforcement, a huge supporter of Special Olympics Delaware year-round. Of course, the torch run will be part of the Special Olympics Delaware Summer Games. They have a big ceremony down in Rehoboth Beach on Wednesday, June 7th at 7 o'clock. If you've never seen that, something you want to experience. So even if you're tuned in and you don't live in Sussex County in the beach area, trust me, it's worth the trip down there on that Wednesday to see the torch arrive and then take off to the Summer Games. Motorcade is part of that. They have athletes and supporters helping with that run. Also, the bike prologue is back, made its return for the first time last year, an opportunity to bike over the Indian River Inlet Bridge down there. All that information is available on the SODE.org website there. Stacey Cohee has landed, and Wendy Hudson right behind her. So we are now waiting for Louise Doe and Bruce Showalter to make their appearance up on the roof and get set to come down the 222 feet or 17 stories to support Special Olympics Delaware. They've all raised $1,100. That's Greg Nold on the right there. He is the director, the state director for Delaware Law Enforcement for Special Olympics. So heads up the efforts of every agency that is part, and every agency is part of the torch run for Special Olympics. And so Greg Nold there, good timing there by our camera crew as we talk about Special Olympics. That's the landing area, TD Bank in the background if you're just tuning in, one of the 3 supporters of this event along with Brandywine Realty Trust, TD Bank, and Newcastle County Fire Service. TD Bank and Brandywine Realty Trust have been sponsors from the beginning, all now 7 years of this event, and Newcastle County Fire Service came on as a supporter a few years ago. All 3 have representatives that actually do the rappel, and all 3 support the event in a variety of ways and help make this event possible for Special Olympics. And Jimmy, we're about an hour and a half into the broadcast here, and you've been part of this for as long as I have, and things seem to be going as smoothly, and I don't just obviously from your standpoint, but from an event standpoint. We're on time. People are going down when they're supposed to be going down. The next 2 people are supposed to go down at 10:30, and it's 10:24. So we're right on schedule, which is a good thing.
All you can ask for. And an event like this where it's kind of like a baseball game.
Yep.
You got to get it in.
Yep.
And timing is the way it is.
Yeah.
So, no, things are going okay here. I think we're, on the technical side, doing okay. We're having some issues with the camera up top, just letting people behind the curtain. But you're dealing with heavy cable,
yep.
222 feet, and gravity. And so you'll see a little flicker on this camera angle here sometimes. Not my favorite thing, but we're working through it. But this angle, as you mentioned before, this is why this particular setup is so cool.
Yeah, it is. And, I'm thinking to myself, if I was home or somewhere else, and, the great advantage of this is, and I don't know how many listeners we've had tuned in so far. We've had a couple thousand over the years who have tuned in. And people have an opportunity. It's one thing to say, hey, come watch me do this here. Well, people have to work. People are doing things. But, when you can say, hey, click on this link at 10:30 because I'm going to be going down if you're Louise Doe or you're Bruce Showalter, people are going to tend to do that because most people in most work environments have access to the Internet from their phones this day and age. 15 years ago you couldn't do this because nobody would be able to watch it live. But
right. The
reality of it is, my guess is that Louise and Bruce have a lot of people who are going to be pulling their phones out of their pockets here in a few minutes and tuning in to see them and do this live, and so it's a big advantage.
Right now, for numbers purposes, 103 watching right now, and now almost 600
wow.
have tuned in to this point so far.
So we're way ahead of where we've been in the past,
yeah.
which is a wonderful thing. We're excited about that. Thank you to the 600 people who have tuned in. And we realize most people are not tuning in and watching us for 8 hours, but
yeah.
they're going to pop on, and whether
if they are,
thank
you.
They're going to pop on, and they're going to see the person they're looking for, or they're going to pop on, and they're going to try to just get an experience, hands-on is the wrong term, obviously, but to get a live experience looking at what this actually is. Cindy Mathis was tuned in. She said, great job, Carol Percy. We are so proud. And so thank you for Cindy Mathis for tuning in and for also sending her well wishes to Carol Percy, who landed just a few minutes ago. And Brian Sosha of the social network WSDW, he is tweeting out about his experience yesterday and sending out some videos and some pictures of what he did. He came down as Spider-Man, and he said, things that I do in the name of Special Olympics Delaware. Great radio broadcasting on 93.7, dangling from a high-rise yesterday as Spider-Man. So, Brian Sosha, we appreciate you and all of the media coming down over the edge yesterday on Media Day, one of the bigger media days that we've had since that first year when we started doing them. So we are appreciative of all the media that came out in support of the News Journal and Delmarva Broadcasting situation. And we're this is Louise Doe on the blue rope that you see coming down. Louise Doe on the blue rope coming down, and Bruce Showalter is scheduled to come down along with her. We'll see. Louise is the Visitor Services Manager at Hagley Museum and Library. She volunteers for the Newark Dragons swim team and also the Young Athletes program. that happens on Monday nights at Holy Angel School. Young Athletes is a program for children ages 2 to 7, so if you're listening and you have a child who would be eligible for the Young Athletes program, visit SODE.org to get more information, or for that case, an athlete of any age who would be interested in being part of Special Olympics Delaware. The Newark Dragons are one of 5 area teams. We have more than 100 schools involved in Special Olympics, but for those outside of the school system, or even if they're in the school and they want more than what the schools are able to offer, we have 5 area programs that are managed by 5 area directors. The Newark Dragons, which Louise is a volunteer for, the Wilmington Wizards, the MOT Tigers, the Kent Crusaders, and the Sussex Riptide. And I can tell you today we will have representatives from all 5 programs at some point. Obviously, Louise is representing the Newark Dragons. I know we have a few more of their coaches that are going over. Marie McIntosh and Tony Goff were representatives of the Sussex Riptide. We've got some Crusaders coming up, some Wizards, et cetera, et cetera. So it's exciting to see the folks that volunteer for Special Olympics all year round believe in the organization enough to raise the $1,100 and do something as daring as coming down a 17-story building as Louise Doe is doing right now, and she should be joined by Bruce Showalter shortly. And we asked Louise if she's ever done any daring or crazy activities, and she responded by saying, "My place of work is an old gunpowder factory, and what could be more crazy than that?" And I have to agree with her on that. Her husband Nigel is her biggest supporter, and she wanted to thank all of her family and friends and work colleagues who helped contribute the $1,100 for her to come down. So this is Louise Doe coming down on the blue rope here. 17 stories, 222 feet, the 300 Delaware Avenue building in Wilmington. So if you're watching this and you want to come see this live, please come on down. More than 600 people have already tuned in to the live stream. And while we hope you are getting a true sense of what this is all about from the 3 camera angles that the production crew is providing you, I can tell you there's nothing like watching it live from the landing area outside and looking up and seeing the what looks like little dots as they stick their heads over the edge there, or I should say stick their rear ends over the edge, as you will see when they come down there. And there's a party-like atmosphere outside right now. You can hear the DJ music in the background probably, and people landing. There's the tents, the TD Bank. They're providing refreshments outside, trying to make it a festive atmosphere for everyone involved. And so once again, thanks to our sponsors, TD Bank, Brandywine Realty Trust, and the Newcastle County Fire Service Building. Supporting sponsors are Delaware Law Enforcement for Special Olympics, Sheraton Suites, downtown Wilmington, Delmarva Broadcasting Company, and the Delaware Rock Gym. All of the participants today raised at least $1,100 for the opportunity to do this once-in-a-lifetime experience, as you see Louise Doe land safely in the landing area, as every single person who has ever done this, remember the stat I gave you a few minutes ago, more than 13,000 people, or close to 13,000 people, have gone over the edge for Special Olympics programs all over North America. 13,000 have started and 13,000 have finished safely and successfully, raising almost $20 million, I should say. Almost $100,000 per event, $20 million total for Special Olympics around the country. So we are almost 2 hours into what will be close to an 8-hour broadcast when it is all said and done. I'm John Busby with the Special Olympics Delaware staff. Jimmy Smith joining me as the head of this production crew, and also chimes in on the broadcast, which helps me tremendously, gives me a chance to rest my voice. So I appreciate him doing that. His wife and 18-month-old daughter just popped in a little bit of time ago. And Jimmy, I think your daughter would be impressed if you went over the edge, but I know it's not high on your bucket list.
Well, she can't talk yet, so I don't know that.
You've got a couple years to go.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know if she would ever challenge me to that.
And it is funny, you know, as we do this, and I'm assuming that is Bruce Showalter getting ready to go down on the yellow rope. Bruce works for Aquatics Services Aquariums and Ponds, and we will tell you a little bit more about him once he starts heading down. But, we talk about the different people and the different personalities that do this. We've seen all ages. The late Winnie Spence, a member of the Special Olympics Delaware Board of Directors, was the oldest person here in Delaware to ever do it. I want to say he was in his early to mid-80s when he went over the edge to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. We've had 18-year-olds, as we did with Kylie Lavelle, one of the first rappellers to go down. She said she was happy to finally be old enough, because you must be 18 to go down. And so there is a minimum weight limit. I believe you have to be 100 pounds, and you can't be more than 300 pounds, so there are restrictions of that. You must be 18 years old. So a lot of different shapes, sizes, and personalities that go over the edge. We've had people go over who are petrified of heights. We've had people go over who have skydived from planes, which, in my opinion, makes this event a little bit easier. And we've had people who really have done nothing adventurous but aren't afraid of heights, and they still go over. And we've heard some great stories. We'll continue to tell stories. Toni Goff talking about racing downhill in Colorado on hills on a bike. Certainly one. We've had people bungee jumping in caverns. We've had this lady who was just part of a survivor-like expedition, those types of things. People say that doing our polar bear plunge for Special Olympics Delaware is a daring thing, and certainly that is for some people. And then we meet people like my wife, for instance, who refuses to plunge and refuses to go over the edge, but supports the cause, has supported me, and supports our kids who have done the polar bear plunge. Both my boys say that they are going to do over the edge as soon as they turn 18. Jimmy, what's on your bucket list since you're not going to go over the edge?
Yeah,
He's thinking.
I mean, I think I can do the plunge at some point. I think what's really nice about Special Olympics is it has a lot of entry points for people. Obviously, having an athlete is a natural entry point. Mm-hmm. But then you make it easier for people to do varying levels of crazy things.
Right.
I think the plunge is probably, and I'm not familiar with what everybody does across the country. I'm only familiar with what is done in Delaware. Mm. There's plane pulls, there's the plunge, there's going over the edge. So I think you make it really easy for people at varying levels of intensity to enter into this community and this family. Yeah. And so that's what's really cool. And so I think for me, my entry point and my exit point will probably be the plunge.
And that's, it's funny because you give that example, and for those of you just tuning in, when we read Ruth Lavelle's bio, she went over several years ago, has done this event several years in a row. She does not do the plunge and has no interest in doing the plunge, and so you make a perfect
point.
point.
It's like getting into the shower too quick.
That's a great analogy. You're right. Yeah, jumping in the shower and not realizing the water's not hot yet.
Yeah,
that's a good analogy. But it is you expressed it perfectly. Of what Special Olympics tries to do is they try to make it so it's hard to say no to every single fundraiser, because there's Over the Edge, there's the Polar Bear Plunge. There's a golf tournament. There's a 5K run. There's a motorcycle ride. There's a truck convoy. And so they've literally tried to cover every angle of what somebody might want to do or might, and more importantly, be able to do. Toni Goff, who we just had in here, has now done Over the Edge. He's part of Ride to the Tide because he rides a motorcycle. So we've given him 2 opportunities to do that.
When I think the best category you could have, and I don't mean to say that nobody's important or not everybody's important in this situation, is when you have a first-time edger who has no connection to Special Olympics. Right. Because that just shows what they're willing to do and how they're willing to be involved. Right. I mean, a first-time anything that has no connection to Special Olympics just shows that you can be a part of this organization and not have a natural connection through either yourself or a family member, that is involved in Special Olympics themselves. So I think that's probably the coolest, is to have somebody that doesn't have a natural connection to Special Olympics, and just to see what they're willing to do to go down a building to support.
And then what happens afterward? I told the story earlier, the broadcast of Larry Meister, who was the manager of this building when we approached them about needing this building to do Over the Edge, and he is now a member of the Special Olympics Delaware Board of Directors.
There you go.
And he's not just a token member, he's an active member and a big part of the organization. In fact, I hope he stops by at some time because I always enjoy talking to him about how he got hooked in the Special Olympics. And the only reason he's involved in Special Olympics is because they approached him about using his building several years ago. You're watching Bruce Showalter come down here. His niece is a member of our Special Olympics staff, Kylie Frazier. And Kylie started in Special Olympics as a unified partner when she was 10 years old. And so that is, unified partner is a peer without a disability who plays on the same team as the Special Olympics athletes. And so your point about the connections is perfect. Bruce has no direct connection to Special Olympics other than his niece, who has been connected with Special Olympics for 20 years.
And she didn't have a natural connection in the beginning,
exactly.
So it becomes a family thing.
Right, yep. And now her family has been involved over the years as well. And so it really is that it's almost a domino effect as you see Bruce Showalter, again, the uncle of a staff member here at Special Olympics Delaware, who was a former unified partner for Special Olympics. And Bruce, that was his first rappel. He's done skydiving and he's done scuba diving. He wants to thank Steve and Donna Compton for their support. We've talked a lot about skydiving and the fact that I'll never do that and you'll never do that, and how I think if you've done skydiving, this is a little bit easier. But I actually talked to a couple media people yesterday. In fact, I think it was Shelby from WDEL who had done skydiving, and she said she was more nervous about this than she was when she jumped out of a plane, which I can't fathom that.
That doesn't make sense.
But she did, and she did it, and she actually wanted to go twice. She actually went back up to the 10th floor and asked if she could go again. So that's how much she enjoyed the experience of doing that. But so skydiving we've talked about, but the other thing, scuba diving. Scuba diving is another thing that I have no interest in doing. You?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a marine biologist.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's a natural excitement and interest in what's going on down there. And I know that that's the only way I'm getting down there. So it's kind of, I don't know.
That's what the National Geographic Channel's for, in my opinion. And high def
I
TV.
did a little bit of snorkeling, and I thought that was cool. And I think that if I can come to terms with the breathing apparatus,
right,
I'll be all right.
And that's my problem. I don't think I'm not claustrophobic, but I don't even like doing the scuba thing where you stick your face mask in the water and you've got that tube. And so that doesn't excite me. Shelley Tracey is in the yellow, Lauren Christ in the blue. So you're looking at Shelley Tracey right there. She'll be on the yellow rope, and Lauren Christ will be on the blue rope. Both of them are teachers at Smyrna Elementary School. And so Lauren Christ on the blue, Shelley Tracey on the yellow. They actually participated in what was the largest school soccer event. That's Lauren there you're looking at right now. She is the head coach in the program, what we call the program director at Smyrna Elementary School. She brought a team of about 60 kids who competed in skills events at the University of Delaware on Tuesday. It was the largest school event Special Olympics Delaware has ever hosted. Close to 700 athletes and unified partners from Newcastle County elementary and middle schools, and we also included the Smyrna Elementary School and North Smyrna Elementary School, and that was at the University of Delaware. A tremendous day. We had about 20 soccer teams play 5-on-5 tournaments and hundreds of middle school and elementary school students who competed in different levels of skills events. 3 more soccer events coming up at Polytech and at the Delaware Sports Turf Complex next week, and then our school season ends officially on next Tuesday, 1 week from Tuesday, at the St. Andrews School when we host the high schools from the local Newcastle County schools. Again, we have more than 100 schools that are involved in Special Olympics. They play basketball in the fall, they bowl in the winter, and they play soccer in the spring. 3 sports out of the 19 that are offered in area programs around the state of Delaware. So again, Lauren Christ is on the left. Shelley Tracey has already taken off on the right, and they are teachers at the Smyrna School District. As I mentioned, they participate, the Smyrna Elementary School participates in basketball and soccer. You see Lauren pointing out to the right, not sure what she's pointing at. There she goes, getting her hands out for that picture, postcard picture, as we call it. She's doing this in honor of her Special Olympics athletes. She'd like to thank her husband, Tim, her parents, and her sons, Reed and Bryce, and friends in Smyrna Elementary family. Some of them that are down in the bleachers. I happen to see a few that I know from Special Olympics. Now, what daring things has Lauren done? Zip lining in Las Vegas down Fremont Street. Now, I went to Vegas once, I didn't zip line down Fremont Street.
Or at least you don't remember
At least
it.
I don't remember it. That's a good one. Have you ever done anything like that? Hi, how are you? Have a seat. We've got somebody that just popped in to say hello. This is Bruce Showalter, who's just finished up going over the edge. Bruce, you want to grab that microphone? Tell us about the experience.
It was amazing. I had a great time. It's a great cause. Glad to be here participating in it.
And now your niece, Kylie, is a member of our staff.
Yes, she is.
Do you remember her as a unified partner as a little girl way back in the day?
Yes.
Special Olympics?
Yes. She's been volunteering, I think since she was 13.
Yep. And now she's a member of the staff.
Yep.
And did she convince you to go down, or did you
I
offer?
asked her. I offered. Yeah. Yeah.
And have you been to Special Olympics events before? Have you seen that?
No, this is my first experience with it. I plan on coming back for many more.
That's great. You'll have to come out and see the Summer Games on June 9th and 10th. Have Kylie send you those dates. You'll get to see where your money goes. And, you know, you inspire people to come out and do this type of thing just by you doing it. What would you tell somebody who has never done this and is maybe listening to the broadcast here and on the fence about whether they should do it or not, because you just did it for the first time?
Right. I would definitely 100% say come out and do it. It was a great experience for a great cause, and you should be part of it.
All right, Lauren, Chris on the right, Shelley, Tracey on your left coming down. Two of the scary things you've done, or we ask you the crazy things, skydiving and scuba diving.
Yes.
Jimmy and I have been very clear and very public. We're never skydiving.
No.
Jimmy wants to scuba dive.
Yes.
I don't. Compare it, skydiving versus over the edge. Which was more nerve-wracking?
It's been a long time, probably 20 years since I skydived, but adrenaline was definitely there with Over the Edge, just as exciting, better calls. So
now, when you did the skydiving, did you have somebody attached to you?
No, I was free fall.
Because people always say, well, it's easier if you have somebody attached to you. I can't imagine walking down the street with somebody attached to me, let alone jumping out of an airplane. Scuba diving, have you done that in recent years?
Yes, every year I go.
Where do you go?
Yeah, all over the world.
Oh, wow. What's the most craziest place you've been scuba diving?
Fiji.
Fiji?
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. How deep do you go? What's the furthest?
I've been down to about 140 feet.
A little bit further than my face in the water that I'm willing to do at the local pool.
Yeah, in the
where
sink
I
to
can see
wash
the
your
bottom.
face.
Yeah, and there's
Touch
no
the
sharks.
bottom.
No sharks near me. All right, well, Bruce Showalter, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for going over the Edge of Benefit Special Olympics. I'm going to look for you at Summer Games.
Thank you
I'm
very
going
much.
to see you in the stands.
Keep it up.
All right, thanks very much. Bruce Showalter just went over the edge for the first time to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. 4,200 athletes who are part of this organization competing in 19 sports. Lauren Christ is on the right. Shelley Tracey is on the left. Coming down here, let me tell you a little bit about Shelley Tracey. She does basketball and soccer for Smyrna Elementary. This is her first time going, and it is also Lauren's first time going. They wanted to go down together. Shelley Tracey has zip-lined and gone on whitewater rafting trips many times. She wants to thank her friends and family, Diamond Materials and all of its employees, family, allergy and asthma, and everyone at Smyrna Elementary School for helping her raise the $1,100 that is required to be part of this Over the Edge event. So she's zip-lined and whitewater rafting. Jimmy, have you ever been whitewater rafting?
No.
All right. Now,
I'm not done.
You
John,
haven't done
I've
anything.
Not done anything.
We've got. I'm going to talk to your wife next time she comes back in here.
I never
Never
I
scuba dive.
Did anything.
You never
I snorkeled,
skydive.
but that was in a controlled setting. And
well, I was going to tell you about my one opportunity to do the whitewater rafting as you watch Shelley Tracey come to the bottom here and finish up her experience. Lauren Christ is right behind her. There's some students, I'm assuming, from Smyrna Elementary School, probably some of the Special Olympics athletes, maybe the Unified Partners that participate, giving her some high fives there. That's a great moment because you get to see why people do this event. And somebody asked me last night, we've got 35% of the folks who have done this event are doing it again, either for the second, third, fourth, fifth, a few people doing it for the seventh time. And we've had people come back year after year and do this. And we always have people ask, and it's one of the higher rates in North America, the repeat rate. And it's safe to say it may be the highest. And somebody asked me at the cocktail reception last night why I think that is. And I think it's the cause. Very few people that do this event do it just to do it. somebody usually has a connection of some sort. Even Bruce, who has never been to a Special Olympics athlete, who we just talked to, his niece was a unified partner and is now a staff member of Special Olympics. You heard him say he wants to come back and do it again. So that's the cause, and that's how they get hooked in, and then they want to come back. What you're seeing right now is the other reason, is the reason people do it. The Special Olympics athletes and the unified partners. And there you see Shelley Tracey, one of our coaches, with the athletes that she coaches, and Lauren Christ there is in the background getting unharnessed, and she will come over, I'm sure, and give out a few hugs and high fives to people who are supporting her as she wanders out into the crowd and finishes that up. A great shot there by our camera crew. First time, there's both Lauren and Shelley who are getting congratulations and thanks from the Special Olympics athletes who came down from Smyrna Elementary School to watch their teachers go over. And if anybody's listening or watching this live up at Smyrna Elementary School, we appreciate you supporting the kids that come and do this for Special Olympics. And again, remember, if you're sending us tweets or you can comment on the live stream itself. We've had more than 600 people tune in already, and we're up to 700. Jimmy gives me the signal, and we're only a quarter of the way. We had more than 2,000 people tune in last year, so we're hoping to get close to that, if not eclipse it. So thank you for tuning in if you have tuned in. And again, if you're going to tweet or share on Instagram or Facebook, please use hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE.
One of the comments on the feed, as John just mentioned, you can shoot a comment on the broadcast. There should be a little icon, a little chat icon there on the right for you to type in. But Meadowwood AP said, great job, Kale Percy. We are so proud of you. She went down about 20 minutes ago.
That's great. Again, the people will watch this. Obviously, they're not watching the broadcast as they're going down, but they will tune in and watch it. I was amazed the last couple of years how many people say afterward, hey, we enjoyed watching ourselves go down after we did it and after it was over. I've actually heard of people who have had viewing parties to bring people together and watch it. It's available on YouTube. We'll have the links on the Special Olympics Delaware website landing page. But so your shout-outs to them on social media that we can then in turn shout out on the live broadcast will be heard from them eventually. So Lauren Christ has landed. Her and Shelley, I hope they stop in to talk about their experience as coaches in the school programs. Annemarie Harrison and Gale Ziegler, speaking of school programs, are both from the Meadowwood School, and they should be up next. We're waiting for confirmation on that, but assuming that they are the two, Annette Messina, Erin Schieffer, Valerie Dodson, and Dennis Miller are on the list of folks coming up as well. So if you're just tuning in, this is the broadcast of the live stream of the 2017 Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. We are in our 7th year broadcasting this event.
Meadowwood AP again with another comment. Thank you. It says, go Gale and Annemarie. All of Forest Oak / Meadowwood supports Team Flamingo. They're so proud.
All right, so thank you again. Use hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE if you're going to send out something on social media, or feel free to comment on the live stream website. There's the TD Bank mascot, one of 3 sponsors, along with Brandywine Realty Trust and Newcastle County Fire Service, who are helping this event happen. You know, events like this don't happen without the support of businesses and obviously the individuals. What will be 87 people rappelling down the side of the 300 Delaware Avenue building, all to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. It's 17 stories, 222 feet. I'm John Busby, along with Jimmy Smith, who oversees a production crew of 4 or 5 people who are here for the entire 8-hour broadcast. They were here setting up last night, as you can imagine, to get the camera angles we're getting, which includes up on top of the building like we have right now, down in the landing area to get the expressions and the hugs and the handshakes and the high fives, as well as the side of the building view as people make their way down those 17-story buildings. And we believe we're the only nonprofit, certainly, that runs this Over the Edge event or hosts it, that gives you the angles that you're seeing as part of this live stream, that has the interviews live during the event. And so a nice shout-out and congratulations to Jimmy Smith and his crew for what they do. 4 years in a row we've offered this live stream, and needless to say, it's become a big selling point to the Edgers for them to know that not only will the people who live here locally get an opportunity to see them do this, but anybody can tune in anywhere in the world and watch it live, or, as I've mentioned, watch it on tape or DVR or whatever later on, as it will be on YouTube. So that is Gale Ziegler on the yellow rope and Annemarie Harrison on the blue rope. So Annemarie Harrison of the Meadowood School is on the blue rope, which will be on your right as you watch them come down the building, and Gale Ziegler is on the yellow rope, which will be on your left once you see the side building once they begin going over. So there you can kind of see a shot of what's going on outside the building. There they are up top again, and so that is Gale Ziegler on your right, will be on your left when we change the angles once they start going down. But what a great shot this is. You can see the distance out there. That's the Rockford Tower in Rockford Park. You can see out there over the top of Annemarie's head there, who is on the blue rope. They're both in that seated position now. They're getting last-minute instructions from the technicians. And, those first couple steps, it's a little shaky having done this event. And they're pulling on the lever there. If you see Annemarie there on the left, you can see her left hand is on a lever mechanism. But yet, if she lets go, it locks up. And so it only moves when you pull on that lever. So it's a safety feature. It allows you to move as slow as you want, or you can move quicker if you want to. But if you do move too quickly, it does lock up. And all that means is that you stop. And then you have to re-engage that lever, and they show you how to do that multiple times while you're up there. That's what Gale is being shown how to do on the right there. She locked up there briefly. They showed her how to get out of it so that if it happens when she's halfway down, she can do it very calmly. She's got a radio. All rappellers have a radio that allow them to communicate with the technicians both at the top and at the bottom just simply by talking. Anything they say is heard by them. And so not only are the safety features instilled here, but also the communication features as well. Cindy Mathis giving a shout-out. Go, Gale and Annemarie. All of Forest Oak and Meadowood support Team Flamingo. So proud over the Edge DE. And so they've also added the comment on the live stream. I think that's what the one that Jimmy just mentioned to you. Oh, that was for Carol Percy. So this is a new one. Gale and Annemarie. Cindy Mathis giving you a shout-out, as she did to Carol Percy earlier, supporting you and Special Olympics Delaware. So thanks to these folks who are going over today. Annemarie and Gale, let me give you a little bit more information about what they're doing in addition to being employed by the Meadowood program. Again, Annemarie Harrison is on your right as you look up the building now. Gale Ziegler is on your left. Both of them work at Meadowood. As I mentioned, Annemarie is going over for the first time, as is Gale Ziegler. So Carol Percy, who's gone over several times, one of their colleagues, must have convinced them to go over, and they're both going over for the children in their classroom. Annemarie took advantage of the Delaware Rock Gym's gracious offer to allow our edgers who are going to do this event to come in on a night reserved for the edgers to come in for free and experience the rock climbing. So thanks to Matt McCorkwadale and Ray Sheldon of the Delaware Rock Gym for allowing them to do that. I want to mention some fundraisers for Annemarie. She wanted to mention Braden, Carmine, and Giovanni for being excited that I've taken on this adventure. Our wonderful Forest Oak and Meadowood friends, including our principals, for supporting our fundraising efforts. I want to thank Nancy Glynn and Carolyn Trawick, our Team Flamingo coordinators. I want to thank our generous donations from Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 74, Mount Lebanon United Methodist Church, Buffalo Wild Wings, Cafe Napoli, Brandywine Brewing Company, Grotto's Pizza, Leon's Garden World, Twisted Hair Salon, Capozzoli Catering Company, and all my friends and family. So we mentioned earlier different ways people fundraise for this event. Some people just write a check for $1,100. Some people have a fundraising website where other people write checks for them or put a credit card in and help raise that money, whether it's $5, $10, $50, or $100 at a time to get to that $1,100. And obviously what Annemarie did is she went out to different businesses and got support one way or another. So lots of ways to be able to raise the $1,100 to get the opportunity to go over the edge for Special Olympics. Gale Ziegler, several people she wanted to thank to her fundraisers: Mary Moore, Robin Noah Ziegler, Irv Boardman, the Forest Oak and Meadowood staff and principals, Nancy Glynn and Carolyn Trawick, donations from Mount Lebanon United Methodist Church and members, Buffalo Wild Wings, Cafe Napoli, Brandywine Brew Company, Grotto's Pizza, Leon's Garden World, Twisted Hair Salon, the 2016-17 class and friends, Caesar, Alberto, Grace, Jax, Brian, Alex, Abigail, Mercy, Alexis, Miguel, Sean, Natasha, Diana, friends and assistants from the Ursuline Academy, students, plumbers, and pipe fitters. Most thankful to Annemarie Harrison, who got me into this crazy adventure, and I've loved every minute of it, and maybe we'll get to talk to the two of them to see if they still loved it when they landed. So you have Gale Ziegler, who is on the left, and Annemarie Harrison, who is on the right. Annemarie looks like she is about halfway down of the 222 feet or 17 stories that is this 300 Delaware Avenue building here in Wilmington. So if you're watching this somewhere or listening to it somewhere and you want to come stop by, please do. Come check it out. There's a festive atmosphere outside going on, compliments of TD Bank. There's a DJ out there. They're serving refreshments and food out there, and that'll be going on most of the day today. Part of the sponsorship of TD Bank sponsors this event, along with Brandywine Realty Trust and Newcastle County Fire Service. As you see, Annemarie Harrison on the right and Gale Ziegler on the left, colleagues at the Meadowwood School, and Carol Percy, who talked them into doing this earlier, repelled about an hour ago. And here comes Lauren and Chris. I was hoping they would stop by. Lauren, have a seat. Grab the microphone there. And welcome here. And who do we have with you here?
Oh, this is my son, Bryce.
Bryce, how are you? Bryce, you want to talk on the microphone? I got a couple questions for you. This is Bryce, son of Lauren and Chris, who just finished her first ever rappel. Bryce, you were at the bottom. We've been watching you on all these different TVs here. What were you thinking when you saw your mom hanging over the edge up there?
I was like, oh my gosh, like, what the heck is happening? she was twirling around like a dog chasing its tail.
Were you glad when she landed?
Yeah, I was pretty glad.
Were you nervous for me?
Yeah, I was nervous too. I was a lot nervous.
Good. Well, Lauren, we appreciate you going over the edge and stopping by. We were telling a story about your team just participating up at the University of Delaware.
We've had an exciting Special Olympics week, haven't we?
You have, yes. Unfortunately, one of the events not rained out that we've had over the spring here, and had an opportunity. And, you're doing this as the head coach of the Smyrna Elementary for the first time this year.
Yeah.
And talk about that experience in general, why you took it on, and why you're excited to be doing that.
Well, my students just inspire me, and as you know, we have such a large group of athletes and partners, and the kids are so excited, and they just get so much out of Special Olympics. They get so much out of the competitions and the working with their partners, and they feel so accomplished when they do that. So
and you mentioned partners, the Unified Partners, who we've talked a couple times on the broadcast here, Peers Without Disabilities. Talk about the importance of that program at the elementary level when kids' perceptions are really formed, and how important it is that Smyrna Elementary has unified sports and the difference you've seen it making in your school.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It teaches those children that don't have a disability, how they can be compassionate towards those students that do, and to work with them and to feel like they're all part of a team together doing it.
All right, let's talk about today's event. What was the toughest part? Is this the most nerve-wracking part there you're watching? We got to see you, so you'll see it when you watch it on YouTube later on next week. You will have the opportunity to see yourself and your expressions. And go through as we watch this. Talk us through as we see this going. We're still finding out who this is, and we will in a minute. But whoever it is, what's going through your mind at this point right now?
I'm just thinking, I don't want to look down. and he started telling me, okay, just sit back. And I just kept trying to take deep breaths and convince myself to sit back. So once I got to that point, then I was okay. But halfway down, I started kind of twirling, and I felt like I was going faster. And it kind of got me.
Did you lock up at all? Did you lock up?
I did not,
okay.
no. But
yeah.
I kept stopping myself and kind of jerking a little
so
bit.
So you wouldn't lock up,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
And so once you get past this point, when you do that sit back and you put your arms out there, did you look down at all?
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. They kept telling us enjoy the experience,
right.
and don't go too fast. So I started to kind of look in my peripheral around
right.
and enjoy seeing the sights.
Wanted to mention you've done zip lining in Las Vegas down Fremont Street.
Yeah.
Jimmy and I have never zip lined down Vegas, down any street, let alone in Vegas. Tell the people listening what that was like, because we couldn't describe it. Obviously,
that was exciting. You're not up as nearly as far,
right.
obviously. I think we were like on the 7th floor when we went off, and you just step off and you're over top of all these people that are walking down the street, and they have lights above you and TVs that are playing music and,
right.
and things, and it was really exciting.
On the ropes right now is Erin Schieffer on the yellow and Annette Messina on the blue. And so that is Erin you see in your screen on the right. And so she's on your right now. She'll be on your left when they flip the camera angle once they start heading down. So, all right, so zip lining, check. Down in Vegas, no less, and rappelling off the building. Anything left in your on your bucket list of extreme adventures?
Possibly, maybe jumping out of a plane. I don't know. My mom's not real happy about that.
I'm never
idea.
doing that. I've done this. I'm never jumping out of a plane. Your son will do it. There you go.
Yeah, maybe when he gets old enough, we'll do it again.
Well,
together.
When you turn 18, you and your mom can come do Over the Edge together.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we won't keep you. We know you got places to go and things to do. Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Most importantly, for what you do for your students in Special Olympics, and then obviously for being part of today's event.
And
we appreciate
you too,
that.
John. You work hard for Special Olympics.
I'm a small cog in a big team, but I'll pass that along. Thank you very much. You can say one more thing. Certainly, you earned it.
My mom to a scale of 1 to 10. It was about a 9.
So next year she'll hit that 10 mark, right? She'll come back next year and get a 10. Thank you, Lauren, for stopping by. A big part of one of the largest unified schools we have in the state of Delaware at Smyrna Elementary School. Lauren Christ, a teacher and a head coach. Erin Schieffer on the yellow, Annette Messina on the blue. That means Erin is on your left and Annette is on your right. Erin Schieffer works for Siegfried Advisory. And she got hooked into Special Olympics because her manager, Jeff Mitchell, is on the board of directors for Special Olympics Delaware. She'd like to thank the family and colleagues at Siegfried Advisory. This is Erin's first time going over the edge. Annette Messina, this is her 3rd year, and she works for Bay Health Surgical Associates. So we've got Annette Messina coming down on the blue, which means that she is on your right, and Erin Schieffer is on the yellow, which means that she is on your left. So 2 more people coming down here. We are at edgers number 26 out of what will be 79. So we're about a third of the way through. Jimmy, what do our viewership numbers look like?
I was just looking at that. Let me pull that back up and give you an updated number. We've had 883 different people tune in throughout today, and 104 on right now.
Great,
so,
great.
Pretty great start to the day.
Yeah, it sure is. We're 2 hours, a little over 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes. The first edger went over at 8:50. Our final edgers are scheduled to rappel down at 4:30, and so we are right on schedule. Actually exactly on schedule. Annette and Erin were scheduled to go down at 11 o'clock and 11:10. And so we are in good shape from a schedule standpoint. It looks a little overcast outside right now, but the temperature, not sure what it is. It's comfortable in here in this climate conditioned room that we are in. We are located, when you see the landing zone picture, as these two will land here in a few minutes, we are located exactly on the other side of the glass windows where you see the over-the-edge banners on the windows. We're on the other side of that. So we hear the action that's going on outside, and you're seeing 3 different camera angles, one at a time. We're seeing all the camera angles at the same time on one of our monitors. And Jimmy just pulled up the radar, and we had heard there was a chance of showers today. And it looks like, if you look at the radar, that there is more than a chance of showers coming. Now, sometimes that green breaks up as it comes over the Chesapeake, and so we'll wait and see. But what they do here in the event of weather, if it becomes, they have their own rules that are in place. I heard them say yesterday that if the winds are more than 20 miles an hour, they will shut down the event until they subside. If it's just showering, they can safely do the event. The ropes, even though they get wet, it does not affect any of the safety mechanisms that are in place. But if there is extreme weather, obviously, they will temporarily shut the event down until they pick up again. And so we're obviously hoping that does not happen. Now, the good news is that the weather that we're seeing, if it does move in, is not going to be the type of weather that will shut the event down for the day and extend it into another day tomorrow. So that is the good news. But if it does shut down, obviously, we will keep you posted on when things will pick up and be posting things on when we think the broadcast will be up and running again. But we're hoping that sometimes, the weathermen aren't always right, as we learned a few times this year with especially that snowstorm of the century we were supposed to get a few weeks ago that turned into a dusting, shut the state down for about an hour one morning. So there you can see Erin and Annette making the landing. That's Erin on your left and Annette on your right. So two more people going over the edge for Special Olympics Delaware. This is the 7th event. We've raised more than $750,000 for Special Olympics. That's not counting the money that is being raised today. Every person who's gone down has raised at least $1,100. Annemarie Harrison and Gale Ziegler, they reached that $1,500 incentive mark, where they receive a plaque with that picture that you've seen taken from that top ledge of with their arms out looking over. And Annette Messina actually reached that mark as well. So 3 people in the last half hour or so have raised the $1,500 that provides you that extra accessibility. And so coming up will be Valerie Dodson and Dennis Miller, Amanda Ackerman, and Lynn Alfonsi. They will be making their appearances very soon. You can see 2 people up on the roof, and we are awaiting the communication from the roof as to exactly who those 2 people are. Sometimes we recognize them either from past years or we know them from their involvement in Special Olympics, and other times we rely on the communication system that is in place from the top to the bottom with us in between there. So again, if you're just tuning in, I'm John Busby along with Jimmy Smith. This is the 2017 Over the Edge event for Special Olympics Delaware. We've been on the air now for 2.5 hours. We've seen 26 people go over the edge. We've had more than 800, I think you said last time we were up, or close to it, viewers who have tuned into the live stream. So we appreciate you doing that. If you're on social media, please use hashtag OverTheEdgeDE. If you comment directly onto the live stream website, we will comment that as well. Because the folks that are going over the edge, I guarantee you all of them are going to watch this again. It'll be on YouTube forever, and they'll have an opportunity to watch it. Some people just watch it on their own. I actually know some people who have viewing parties where they get together with family or friends and they watch the 10 or 15 minutes of their broadcast in particular. Jimmy Smith and his crew not only do a great job with the live broadcast, but then Jimmy splices it up so it's not looking through 8 hours of footage, but more or less just being able to narrow it down and get a couple hours of footage there. I'm going to assume that's Dennis Miller, since it's the only male I have on the list going down in the next 10 people. So we'll assume that that is Dennis Miller on the yellow rope, and we're waiting to see who goes down with him. Dennis is a retired high school teacher, coach, and administrator. He is 70 years old, now living in Calabash, North Carolina. Never heard of Calabash, North Carolina.
No, and the fact that he's here today and anywhere in North Carolina is pretty impressive.
He's first-time edger, and his daughter, Valerie Dodson, who works for J.P. Morgan Chase here in Wilmington, did Over the Edge last year and wanted him, her father, to do it with her. So he's going over. He's got 3 daughters, and the other 2 think he's nuts for doing this. So funny thing there from Dennis Miller. So Dennis Miller, the father, on the left there. Got to assume that's Valerie Hudson on the blue rope, his daughter. Works for J.P. Morgan Chase here in Wilmington. She did this last year. It's her 2nd year. She said she's looking forward to being able to look down this year. And we hear that often from other people who do this event for the 2nd time, where they do it and they say, the 2nd year, I really enjoyed the experience much more than the first year. So it's an opportunity for people who, when they do it that second time, they seem to be a little bit more relaxed. Still anxious. Everybody we talk to is still a little anxious. You can see Valerie there kind of take a deep breath. Great picture by our cameraman of a veteran edger going the second time. She's been through this experience before. She's getting her final checks. The technicians are talking her through this first step, which anybody who's done this, including me, because I've done it before, will tell you this is the hardest part when you first take back this step back, and you then are relying completely on the ropes and the system and the belaying that takes place, the technicians that are there getting you set to go. Rockford Park in the background, you can see the tower there. I believe that's the tower at Rockford Park. So it gives you an idea of how high they are up. You can see I-95 there at the bottom of your screen as Valerie gets ready to make that move down. Once again, if you're sending stuff out on social media, you want to send a message to the folks who are doing this, please use hashtag #OverTheEdgeDE. Wave to the people up on the roof, to the cameraman there for Valerie Dodson, getting ready to head down. Her father, Dennis Miller, a retired high school teacher, already on his way down. He traveled all the way up from North Carolina to do this for the first time with his daughter. There is a landing zone. There's kind of the dance party going on outside. You can see employees from TD Bank there. Soft pretzels, I think, are being served outside. I saw hot dogs milling around, as well as sodas and water. So if you're in the area and you want to come check this out, it's almost lunchtime, so you have two reasons to do it. Come check it out. Grab something to eat. Everything's free of charge. And check out and see the people that are supporting the 7th annual Over the Edge event to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. You can see some dancing going on out there. Valerie Dodson is on the blue rope. Dennis Miller on the yellow rope. On deck, Amanda Ackerman, Lynn Alfonsi, Karen Grandel, and Kimberly Canick, all coming up here in the next hour or so, going over the edge to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. If you're just tuning in, you see the side of the building there. On your right is Valerie Dodson. On your left, her father, Dennis Miller. Valerie did it last year and convinced her father to come do it with her this year. That is 17 stories you are looking at right there. 222 feet. They check in at the 10th floor when they arrive. They get suited up. They go over some of the safety features, the instructions, etc. Then they head up to the roof of the building where they go through. It's not really a practice rappel. It's new this year. So for those of you who are tuned in listening to the broadcast who have done this before, for the first time they're not actually having you climb that ladder up to the top of the roof of a structure that's on top of the building and rappel down. What they've done is they've set up a system where you can get the same experience just by going a few steps up a step ladder and then hanging from what is sort of a tripod-like structure set up where they have the ropes dangling from that, and you can get that feeling of what it's like just to hang there, get the confidence that the mechanisms are going to work and that the system that is in place is going to keep you safe so that when you finally get out to that ledge, 17 stories up, and have that opportunity to sit back and take those first few steps, you do so with complete confidence. So 17 stories, 222 feet. Over the Edge has raised more than $20 million around North America, having done officially, this will be the 210th event. They've done them in Hawaii, they do them in Massachusetts, they do them in Texas, Missouri, and again, those are just the ones that benefit Special Olympics Delaware. They've raised $20 million. They have raised more than $50 million for organizations around the country. That includes Special Olympics, but also other nonprofits. In fact, visiting today from Maryland is a team of folks who are going to try to get this event down in Baltimore, Maryland. And so the staff members from Special Olympics Maryland are stopping in and popping in and out to see what they do here in Special Olympics Delaware, what's been a very, very successful event over the years. The 87 people that will go down, both yesterday we had media folks go down, and then today 79 people who will go down, is the highest in the past few years of people that have gone down. I mentioned earlier we have a 35% repeat edger rate, which is extremely high compared to the national average, I'm told. A big part of that, we are convinced, is the reason for this event, which is the 4,200 Special Olympics Delaware athletes that compete in 19 sports year-round. And so folks like Valerie Dodson on your right and Dennis Miller on your left who do this do it for the athletes of Special Olympics Delaware. This is a father-daughter combination. We saw a mother-daughter combination earlier. We've seen colleagues go down. We've seen spouses go down together. Just about every combination you can imagine. At 12:10, Anthony Borgini, a Special Olympics athlete who is legally blind, is going to go over the edge for Special Olympics Delaware. Each year for the past few years, Special Olympics athlete has gone over the edge for Special Olympics Delaware. And it's not a token spot that is given to them. They have to raise the $1,100 to go over the edge. And so we will, Anthony Borgini, we will see him go over the edge right around lunchtime. And actually what's neat about that is usually it is as crowded as it is outside right now, it gets even more crowded as the lunch hour approaches, as you can imagine. And so it'll be neat for that lunch hour crowd to be able to see Anthony Borgini, the Special Olympics athlete, go over the edge. You can see Dennis Miller making his landing. He zipped right down. Not bad for somebody who's doing this for the first time. So congratulations to Dennis Miller, and thank you for traveling from North Carolina. As far as I know, the furthest anyone has traveled to take part in this Special Olympics over the edge event. And there is his daughter, Valerie Dodson, who is doing her second rappel for Special Olympics Delaware. She lives right here in Wilmington, or I should say she works in Wilmington. J.P. Morgan Chase right around the corner from here. So she gets to look at this 300 Delaware Avenue building throughout the year. Sees it from a different perspective today, certainly. She's all smiles as she heads down for her final descent. 17 stories, 222 feet, all to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. As she makes her landing, that brings our total to 27 people today who have gone over the edge to benefit Special Olympics Delaware. By the end of today, 79 people will have gone over the edge. And you add the 8 people that went yesterday, 7 media members and a member of the Special Olympics Delaware staff. That brings the total to 87 people who will have gone over the edge for Special Olympics Delaware. Thank you for tuning in to check out the broadcast. I'm John Busby along with Jimmy Smith. This is the 2017 Over the Edge to Benefit Special Olympics Delaware event. Whether you're tuning in to see somebody in particular, if that's the case, on deck coming up in the next half an hour or so, Amanda Ackerman, Lynn Alfonsi, Karen Grandel, Kim Canick, Marianne Evans, who has done this all 7 years, Sean Malone, Allie Woodard, and John Woodard. I believe that's a father-daughter